Hey YouTube, what's up? It's Alex. Alright, so, wow, that was a really fast introduction. So, this is my coming out email that I sent my mom, and I'm gonna read it kind of quickly, and hopefully I could, actually talk. Um, so it says, Mom, you asked me to respond to your email without lying, and I'm going to do just that. It has taken me a few days to come up with a response, but I decided that the best course of action would be to come out and tell you what's going on, instead of lying. The email is going to be a hard one to write. This email is going to be a hard one to write, and I know it's going to be hard for you to read. As you know, growing up, I was always very tomboyish. I hated wearing dresses, I loved playing sports, I hated dolls, etc. Something you don't know is that for roughly 4 to 5 years on my birthday, I'd blow out the candles and make my wish. I never told you my wish, claiming that it wouldn't come true if I did, because everyone knows that's true. If I did tell anyone what I wished for, I made up something because I didn't want them to know what I really wished for. I continually wished that I would wake up the next morning and that I'd be a boy and that everyone would have always known me as a boy. I wished for the same thing every time as I seen a shooting star, went over road tracks, or any other time a wish was appropriate. I didn't tell anyone about this because I didn't want to be thought of as being weird. After those years passed, I decided I just had to deal with the fact that I was a girl. I went through middle school and just dealt with it. About halfway through 7th grade, I started noticing something was different, but I couldn't figure out what it was. I did realize that I wasn't starting to like boys like most girls my age were. Couldn't figure out why. I just thought I was more focused on school than the other girls. Then I hit high school. As more and more of my friends got in relationships, I still felt as if something wasn't quite right. Finally, I figured out what I thought was the entire problem. I thought that I was having a hard time because I liked girls and not boys. However, after you saying derogatory things about gays, I tried hiding it from you. Then I said however again. However, as we know, I was basically forced to come out. Even after figuring out that I liked girls, things still didn't seem right, at least not completely. Again, I still dealt with this awkwardness. The summer after my sophomore or junior year, I attended my first Pride. I did so without telling you because I knew you would have never let me go. When I got there, I was introduced to a few of my friends. A friend from high school. A few of my friends' friends. A friend from high school. There we go. One of the guys I met was Tony. He seemed like most guys there, very gay. Like, we're talking flamey homo type of gay. Despite the fact that he had a very feminine voice, he seemed pretty cool. It wasn't until a few days later that I completely fucked up that sentence. It wasn't until a few days later that I found out Tony actually wasn't a gay guy. I was informed that he was actually transgender, that the reason why he sounded like a gay guy was because he was in the process of starting hormone replacement therapy. This was like listening to someone speak Greek. I had no clue what my friend was talking about. I then started some research to figure out what exactly they were talking about. This was very repetitive wording. After doing lots of research, I found out what they were talking about. Tony had been born a girl and had always wanted to be a boy. He was always uncomfortable in his body and felt different. At first he believed he was a lesbian, but he still felt like that did not describe him. Eventually he figured out he was transgender. When Tony first came out to his parents, they did not accept it. They felt that they were losing their daughter and that nothing would make the situation better. However, after reading some of the resources he gave them, they slowly were able to accept that he was still the same person and noticed that he was more comfortable with himself. They then came to accept that Tony was their son. After doing this research, I realized that this was who I was too. I have always been masculine and this is who I am. I cannot help it. It is not your fault or anyone else's. This is just who I am. While your support may not be here immediately, I hope that over time you will support me. The potential support I could get from you is very important during this difficult time in my life. As your child, girl or boy, your kid, I need you. As a parent, you are supposed to love your child unconditionally and support them no matter what. It is difficult enough for me to feel uncomfortable in my own body and at school, but to feel uncomfortable and displaced in my own home would be something completely devastating. If you were to kick me out and cut me off, then it's going to be really hard for me to pay to be at school and to live on my own. Also, being transgender is not a choice. It is a medical occurrence that has a medical solution. It is in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, and treatment for it is recognized as medically necessary by the American Medical Association. And I included the fact that as many as 25% of all doctors in the country are a part of the AMA. I have attached some materials and resources for families of transgenders like myself. I would really like for you to read them. You can accept me for who I am or you can choose not to. It's ultimately your decision, but I hope that the decision you make is an informed, rational one. While you are in a way losing a daughter, I am still here and I am still myself, and I am your child either way. I'm hoping that your love for me is unconditional as it should be between a mother and a child. So that was the really long email I sent my mom. And she didn't reply, and I talked to her on the phone once after that, and she didn't say anything, and I had no clue what was going on if she had even gotten it. So then I finally got a reply because I kept texting her about it. And sorry about the glare in my glasses, but I had to put them on because it was hard to read. And she sent me one message that said, "Are you doing hormone replacement therapy, and what are you saying? By the way, I did not ask about Tony." And then she sent another one where she actually forwarded the entire email and the resources that I sent her to my grandma and sent this message with it. That said, "I think you're at an awkward age and are easily influenced, and God made you a girl. You have never tried to live that way as a young adult. As well, it is a medical occurrence that has a medical solution," which is what I said. She said, "What do you propose the solution is? I think first living with yourself and accepting what you came into this world as is the first step to the solution." So, I'm working on my reply to that. Right now, I basically have said, what am I saying about what? And while I did not ask about Tony, I thought it would be nice to let you know that while parents of transgender children don't always immediately accept the situation, they eventually might. Stanley was not accepting when he first told them he was transgender, but they came to realize he was still the same person and they still love him. Said, "I am not easily influenced. If I were easily influenced, I would drink, smoke weed, and do other irresponsible things. I have tried living as a girl up until recently. I have dealt with being uncomfortable in my body for years. If I go with your solution, I will be miserable for the rest of my life. I have accepted what I came into this world as, and I know that even though I came into the world as a girl, that's not who I am. The medical solution, which is given in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, IV, text revise, whatever, is to medically and socially transition. There are several first steps in transitioning. While these steps do not have to occur in any specific order, there is a basic idea as most transgender individuals follow. First is to start going by the correct gender, the gender they feel most comfortable as, and by a more masculine name. The next step is to seek out therapy. After going to therapy for a while, the therapist then writes a letter stating the patient has gender identity disorder. This letter will be taken to a doctor, preferably an endocrinologist, who will prescribe hormones. Another part of the process is legally changing your name to the name you prefer. The name I prefer, as you have noticed, is Alex. Hopefully I will get to legally change my name soon, and hopefully my family, including yourself, will learn to accept me and call me my preferred name." I'm going to add a little bit more to this. I'm going to talk about how I've been seeing somebody for it. And what else was I going to add? I forgot what else I was going to add. I don't know. I guess basically that I'm planning. Oh, I was going to include the insurance thing. How it would be a lot cheaper for me if I was on insurance. Or if she'd let me use the insurance, which I doubt will happen. But we'll see how that goes, and I'm going to finish that up tonight and send it, and yeah, so that's my coming out letter, my mom's reply, my reply to her reply, and there'll be another update whenever either she decides to let me use insurance or she decides that I can't live there. Or if she's just, going to be down the middle of the road, then we're just going to leave it as is, and I'll update Friday when I get my testosterone letter. So yeah, that's about it. I managed to do that in 8 minutes. That's pretty impressive for me, because usually I go off on tangents like I am now. Anyways, that's it. I'm gonna go before Celia kills me for making too many YouTube videos. So yeah, peace.